My stepmom took away my inhaler, claimed that asthma wasn't real, and sent me to the hospital. Her entire demeanor changed when my dad filed for divorce. My stepmom told me to go mow the lawn one day, and by the time I came back in, my inhaler wasn't in my room. I'm used to checking its location every 15 minutes, so I knew it was right there before I went outside. I panicked and started searching everywhere for it, and that's when I noticed my stepmom watching TV with a smirk on her face. I asked if she had seen my inhaler, and she said, "I know you only used that as an excuse to get affection from your dad. I threw it out so you can stop pretending you're sick now." I thought it was a joke, so I asked again, "Did you actually throw out my inhaler? You know I have asthma, right?" She went, "Please, I've read a lot more medical journals than you, so I know asthma isn't real. I'm not going to let you get away with lying anymore." Knowing I didn't have my inhaler anymore turned my asthma on like an oven. It felt like I just took a body punch from a boxer, and I started hyperventilating. I called my stepmom crazy and hurried to call 911 on my phone. She said, "No, you can't do that. Give me your phone right now." Thankfully, I had already dialed it, and despite my shortness of breath, I was screaming for help at the top of my lungs. The paramedics arrived 10 minutes later, but for those 10 minutes, my life was hell. My stepmom stood on top of me and kept saying my audacity was unbelievable. I was trying to tell her I couldn't breathe, but she slammed her heel in my abdomen and said, "I said stop pretending. Stop it right now." I kept thinking that was it. I was going to die while being yelled at by my crazy stepmother. As soon as I saw the ambulance, I stopped holding on and let the darkness take over me. The next day, I woke up and saw that my dad was hugging me. He said he was sorry, but I pushed his hand away. I told him that if he really cared about me, he would have noticed how his wife treated me before this incident, how she made me clean until the house was spotless, and held my hand over the stove if I didn't do as she said. He started crying and said he never knew things would go this far. Apparently, my stepmom was in custody because the people who answered the 911 call saw how she was treating me and reported it to the police. My dad handed me my inhaler, which was found in her purse. That day, he took me home and spent hours just talking with me, getting the full stories of each incident. He took a week off work and took me to a lake house for a nice vacation. My stepmom was still rotting in jail, and I asked what would happen to her, but my dad told me not to worry about it. Well, she was finally released 3 weeks later on bail pending a trial, but as soon as she came home, I saw my dad's hidden side. He dragged her by the arm and pushed her out the door before screaming in her face to get away from me. She yelled back and said I was trying to drive a wedge between them on purpose. She begged him to see the truth, which is when my dad handed her the divorce papers. She went, "This is a joke, right?" He shook his head, and my stepmom did a full 360. She started apologizing, begging for a second chance. She said that their marriage had only just begun, and that he was making a huge mistake. Her face turned blue, and she asked, "Are you actually divorcing me over this?" Even before she finished that sentence, the door was already shut. I was shocked because my dad had never stood up to his wife and never raised his voice inside our house. He noticed my expression and said, "Son, the fact that you're surprised proves I've done a terrible job at parenting you. Please forgive me and let me make up for it." My stepmom started texting my phone nonstop, calling me the devil and telling me to persuade my dad to forgive her. But then her trial for battery and attempted unaliving started. Her texts went from demands to apologies, asking me to forgive her and to take back the charges. In the end, her lawyers painted her as mentally ill to avoid the 30 years in prison, so she was sentenced to stay at a mental hospital.